Alright people, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification. That way you'll know when I upload the next video and you'll be supporting my channel. Follow me on Twitter. Every time I upload a new video, I'll be tweeting. Ladies and gentlemen, and this is Fable Review. Moral Relativism Edition, okay? This is by the channel ssethtzeentach. Seth. I should call him just Seth now on, it's hard to pronounce this. Peter Molyneux's greatest fantasy RPG or a cautionary tale on the dangers of marriage. Really? Yeah, I played Fable 3, I remember that, I guess a long time ago. I don't know, it was I guess 10 years ago or something when it came out. And I really loved the game for certain elements, like I knew, how you could, I guess, purchase a business and run it. I guess that was my first game in which you could basically make money and actually do something with it, right? Your average, shooter and looter thing, you have money, you can buy some weapons and armor, that's it. That's it. But you after some time you just realize, holy shit, you have too much money. You deliberately wasted hours to gather money, and now you have nothing to do with it. And when you finish the game, you have millions and millions in your account. Like, what the fuck? This game basically had lots of things to do. You could buy certain properties here and there in Fable 3 at least, right? I like that. That was the first game I ever come across that had element like that. Like you can have an RPG type of play and then actually can, basically do all those things. No, wait a minute. I didn't play it in 2010. I think it was in 2012 or something. I'm pretty sure I played it after playing Skyrim. And Skyrim was around 2010, so I guess it was 2012 or something. But yeah. So let's play this. Watch this, sorry. Remember, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like, subscribe. Check out the reaction. There's a link in the description. Check out the cast in cards in here.
Hey people, Seth here. Today, I'll be covering an old childhood classic, a game that taught me that outside the safety of cities and towns, the entire natural world wants us dead, and you can't walk 5 meters without being mauled, stung, or assaulted by wildlife.
Yeah, he's making a joke there, but that's how the people's lives were for centuries. That is where the word goodbye comes from. Goodbye means God be with you. Because once you leave the city walls, anything can happen to you. You could get mauled by certain animals. Some people could rob you with swords and kill you, right? The civilization was really scary outside the city walls. That's where the word goodbye exists, I guess. So it kind of makes sense that the same thing here.
Money can buy happiness, reverses aging, and helps everyone forget that you butchered an entire village 5 minutes ago, and that divorcing your wife is objectively worse than murder. I'm speaking, of course, about Fable, but not just Fable. Fable, The Lost Chapters, and Fable Anniversary, because they're all the same game, but Lionhead Studios needed 3 times the money. Released in 2004, Fable was the game that justified buying an Xbox Classic. I know this because I owned an Xbox Classic. It had about 3 games on it, and one of those was Enter the Matrix, which still haunts me to this very day. But I digress. Anyway, what? Fable is a game of—
I don't know, it was fine. The Matrix, I remember that. I think that's, yeah, the Enter the Matrix, that is the game. It was fine. All the fucking Matrix style gameplay was fine. I don't know. There wasn't much to it, but it was fine for Matrix game.
About an experience all of us can relate to. Having your parents killed and your village burnt to the ground, only to be saved by an influential pedophile and forced into a life of indentured servitude. And after years of emotional and physical abuse, you're released into the great wide world with the expectation that you won't become a brooding menace to society. You're conditioned like an animal to follow the action-reward psychology of being a hero. The dopamine release of completing quests is all that drives your addiction for fame and relevance. Peter Molyneux is a liar, but he's also a genius, because throughout the game you're forced to make choices. Not reasonable choices, not thoughtful choices, but picking between the 2 extremes of morality, good or evil. Here is a typical moral dilemma as presented by Peter Molyneux. As you walk along the road, you encounter a homeless man being bullied by a delinquent teenager. The good option? Scare off a bully. The evil option? Beat that homeless man within an inch of his life and crack his rib cage open like a coconut crab. Both options give you the same amount of alignment points. It's insane, it's nonsensical, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, that's what RPG games are for. Your choices. Do the evil shit you can do, or do the nicer thing, I guess. Man, that description was a bit more graphic. Seth might have some problems, right? He needs to check it out, I guess.
Much to say about the story. You go do quests and uncover the fact that some of your family isn't dead. So you reunite with them, only to have them all die except your sister, who I always spare because she's pretty damn hot. So you kill the big bad guy that's been making your life miserable, and Fable 1 ends there because they ran out of time. Then you have to kill the big bad guy's persona avatar in the Lost Chapters, which is an expansion featuring a completely new area with reskins of all the monsters you fought before, and some extra content that was cut from the original. You can redo all this in the Anniversary Edition, which is a high-definition remaster of Lost Chapters, with extra bloom and gloom to drain out the color. While colors are faded, the characters aren't, and all the new models look great, including Lady Grey, the only good romance option in the entire game. If you're not familiar,
course.
Lady Grey is the sultry mayor of Bowerstone North. She's also a crazy racist bitch that gets turned on by seeing black people die in front of her. Unlike Lost Chapters, Anniversary has built-in controller support for the PC. Anniversary Edition also has limited modding support, which is completely broken and unused.
Fable has a modding DLC, okay.
Anniversary Edition also has limited modding support,
Mostly
which is
negative.
completely broken and unusable. However, this didn't stop one man, whose autism was more powerful than we could have ever imagined. Mr. Defini used his modding talents to replace every wasp in the game with Shrek,
Whoa!
including the Queen.
This is why modding was invented.
God bless Australia. Fable
Seriously.
is very simple. It's also very easy. I would actually be very impressed if you somehow managed to lose the game, because you can't actually die as long as you're digesting food. Turns out, it's not a question of how strong you are. It's a question of how many apples you brought. You start as a child apprentice at the Heroes Guild, but after
Yeah, that's the one thing I guess I didn't like. I don't like in many games, but also I didn't like in Witcher 3, I guess, right? In Witcher 3, you can drink, apple juice and God knows what, millions and millions of food in your inventory that you can just eat and regenerate health while fighting. Like, that's a bit too much. For a Witcher game, that's too much, right? So yeah, many games has it. Just eat food and you will regenerate health. Which universe?
a few tutorials, everything fast forwards until you're a fully grown adult. Before that, you'll have to tolerate living with Whisper,
It's time to wake up. Get out of bed, lazy bones.
doing unpaid labor for the guild,
Well done, lad. The Beatles are all dead.
and holding back tears while doing favors for the guildmaster.
Just
Why was that joke so perfect, man? The way he said it, the emphasis, Beatles are dead, and the showing the photo was just too good. I had to watch that again.
Doing unpaid labor for the guild,
well done, lad. The Beatles are all dead.
and holding back tears while doing favors for the guildmaster.
Just keep going till I tell you to stop. Ah, now that's more like it. Get used to the weight of this sword. I think you've earned yourself some pocket money for that.
Then you can finally go out into the great wide world of Albion. You can tell this place was inspired by Britain, as all the peasants speak like they're inbred. They also have one of those characteristic British smiles. Lionhead Studios hates the working class, so they've made every effort to make you hate them as much as possible. You can interact with them, use emotes, and even marry them. I learned very early in life that the only two ways to get out of marriage is through domestic violence or becoming a widow. As a hero, you take quests from the guild. Some are optional.
That's the King Henry approach, I guess. Yeah, okay. I don't remember marriage and all that shit from Fable 3, but Fable 3 had, I guess, Industrial Revolution type of feel, all the factories and shit, right? All the businesses that you can basically buy and manage, right? The game was good. I don't remember much of it, right? I've just played it once, and it's been, 10 years now. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I remember the feeling that, holy shit, this is a really good game because it felt different, right? Even the RPG elements felt different.
Some are essential for progressing the story. They're quite straightforward. Occasionally, Whisper will show up to annoy you even more and steal your experience points because her skill set is designed for kill stealing and contributing absolutely nothing to a team fight. The skill points you did manage to save from Whisper's firebombs and flips can be spent at the guild on upgrading your hero. As you level up your abilities, your hero will also physically change, growing taller and more muscular. This game is living proof that there's no excuse for being a manlet. So hit the gym and squat your way into becoming 7 feet tall. There are downsides to
that's an Indian film. It looks like I don't even know which film is this from, man. I'm pretty sure this is not Bollywood, right? It's some southern film.
The gym and squat your way into becoming 7 feet tall. There are downsides to upgrading your abilities, as each point spent makes you physically older, developing wrinkles, memory loss, and once you hit the age of 65, forces you to spend about 20,000 gold on a hip replacement. You can choose not to do this, but you'll have to keep taking morphine shots to numb the pain for the rest of the game. There are proven ways to reverse aging, of course, like sacrificing your wife to the dark gods.
A pathetic contribution.
Interestingly, this is still slightly less evil than divorcing her. There's a lot of skills to choose from, but like men, skills aren't made equally. Magic restores very slowly, so you'll be forced to chug down mana potions if you plan on using spells. The one upside of being a mage is that you can still use emotes while spellcasting, so you can keep thrusting away as you electrocute your enemies to death. Others are completely broken. Assassin Rush lets you blink behind enemies and abuse the AI. Fun fact, Assassin's Rush can sometimes glitch into the terrain when combined with Summon. Please don't use this in the Chamber of Fate, or you might accidentally glitch your way under the floorboards and obtain the Sword of Aeons 30 minutes after starting the game. Multi-Strike allows you to completely ignore the combat system since it can't be blocked and has no cooldown, and Time Stop lets you run through about 80% of the game without even lifting a finger. There's a lot more skills out there, but they're far too balanced to be worth talking about. Except heal. Heal is absolutely vital when your character gets too muscular, as your fists might unintentionally kill your wife. Use heal between beatings to keep her healthy, and to get rid of any bruising that might be used as evidence against you in a court of law. Quests typically award you a lot of gold. Most players will spend this on
How is this channel still on YouTube? Oh, knowing YouTube, how is this a thing? How many times did Seth get strike and he had to fight back like this is free speech or something? What the fuck? That is the most potent thing I ever heard in any YouTube video, I think.
improving their gear or buying new weapons. Real gamers spend it all on playing blackjack and buying yourself an appropriate title so you don't go insane from listening to the villagers. Based on old save files I found from when I was 12 years old, I can tell you with high certainty that the most popular titles everyone picked were Assassin, Necromancer, and Reaper. We were really edgy kids back then. In between quests, you can go and wander around town, trade, and get constantly mocked by older heroes who are past their prime.
He can't entrust important quests to novices like you.
I see they're letting the children out of the guild early these days. Now, move aside, will you? I don't need you crowding me too. Can you move away now? You're getting in the way of my fans. I hear you can make a decent living out of fishing. Or maybe begging's more your style.
As if that wasn't bad enough, the guildmaster will constantly Skype call you for your guild seal, giving—
You know what I hate in games the most, right? Is there's no goddamn respect you ever get in any games, right? I don't remember any game that give you proper fucking respect. If you done, remarkable things, people, should be like, holy shit, this is that guy. There is no fame or even infamy. Fuck it. But there is nothing like that, right? People still treat you like you just started the game, which is I hate the most in any open world RPG games, right? Even in Skyrim, okay, they acknowledge sometimes certain deeds that you did, right? I like when you're walking around, after joining the Brotherhood, everybody like, oh, you are one of them and something like that. But that's where it ends, just one dialogue. It doesn't affect people, right? There is no fear factor so far. I think only New Vegas, Fallout New Vegas so far I've played has that element. Like if you do certain things, then you can take certain perks, and if you take certain perks, right? After a certain skill level up, you can only level those skills up if you do certain deeds, right? Certain type of deeds. And if your skill level is high, then you can take a trait, and if you have that trait, right, you can intimidate somewhat, right? There's a special dialogues here and there. I don't know. To me, it feels like, no game really does that. I hope next Elder Scrolls has a complex AI, and it's not just better graphics Skyrim, right? I mean Skyrim, but in, I guess, where are they when making that? In desert area, I think, right? Curved sword, that's where they're gonna be. But in there, I hope it's not just better graphics Skyrim with a different place. I hope there's an AI overhaul and things like that, not just fighting. That people actually acknowledge things. If you join the Brothers, do certain deeds, everybody around the world basically has that, fear element. Even in the fight, certain people just run away or something like that. You walk around in a fucking Daedric armor, and people like stupid bandits like, I want to attack you. Are you high?
You great advice when you need it the most.
Your health is low. Do you have any potions or food? Try to get your combat multiplier even higher.
Don't worry, you get a chance to kill them all later.
It's time I showed the world who the real hero is.
Well, I'm rather fond of my soul. I'm not giving it up without a fight.
One strike. Respect.
There's a lot of activities outside town, including side quests, puzzles, and fishing. However, fishing is a good way to catch carpal tunnel, as it involves rapidly mashing left click on the PC. So, to avoid this, I turn on my auto clicker. I set it to a 1 millisecond delay time, so I can catch the fish instantly. Modern problems require modern solutions. You can customize your hero however you like. Different haircuts, facial...
Use brains, not brawn. Why mash it when you can basically tweak it like that?
hair, tattoos, and clothing will provoke different responses from the townspeople. Some of these might not make sense, so you should always ask yourself, what would a British woman find attractive? And go from there. The last chapters lets you own a brothel as well, which you couldn't in the base game. Lost Chapters is better in every way compared to the original. It's beautiful, it's got a lot to do, and it's absolutely busted with the ways you can abuse the system. Peasants lack any kind of business sense, and will happily sell you all of their stock. Then they begin panicking from the lack of supplies and offer to buy it all back at greatly inflated prices to end the shortage. You can do this infinitely and ruin the economy. Another scheme
No way, that's the case?
panicking from the lack of supplies and will happily sell you all of their stock. Then they begin panicking from the lack of supplies and offer to buy it all back at...
So I guess what happened is if you buy everything from them, the store is empty. So when you sell something, the prices are higher now. That's the system. Because highly doubt it's, he actually comes back to you panicking like, okay, I have nothing, will you sell me back? I highly doubt there's dialogues like that. So I guess that's how the system is. If there is no more items in the store, then whatever you sell now has a higher price because nothing is in the store anymore. That is a broken shit.
Greatly inflated prices to end the shortage. You can do this infinitely and ruin the economy. Another scheme I used to run was being pure good and extremely famous, so peasants would never question why I need to lead them to a secluded spot in the woods. Once there, they'd all die of mysterious circumstances. When this happens, the family would have to sell the house in order to pay for funeral expenses. I would immediately snatch up the property and rent it out. I then repeat this.
What the I would have never thought of that. Seth, what the fuck? And by the way, what an awesome game if you can think that deep. And economy. This is why I love Fable 3. I don't know if Fable 3 is same way or not, but the just economical stance of it. Buying, selling, all the trading. Major games, proper games like this with RPG elements does not do this. This is fucking awesome. RPG games should follow stuff like that. Introducing trading like that.
For every property in town. Days later, the town is repopulated by the descendants of all those unfortunate peasants, who are forced to pay rent to me, their benevolent landlord, for all eternity, unaware of the fact that I may have had a role in their parents' demise. Fable. It's ridiculous, it's entertaining, and it's probably one of the most interesting games ever made by Peter Molyneux. If you haven't already, then I sincerely recommend you give it a try. And if you have, well, I'm just feeding off your nostalgia. This time, the Lord of Lies prize gets my vote, and I give it a 6 out of 6, which is the number of simultaneous wives you can have in every village, provided none of them ever find out. Personally, I look down on polygamy, so if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go hold hands with my husband. As always, more content to come, so stay tuned. Probably much more autistic content, so be warned. A warm thanks to the many members of the Merchants Guild generously funding and bankrolling these videos. You're all
Yeah, be warned, the autistic element is what makes this channel great. Yeah, Fable, another one of my favorite games, Fable 3 at least. First two sounds the same way, I guess. Fable 3 was awesome for me. I don't know. I think I'm gonna check these other ones out, but I don't know if I have time. The graphics sometimes becomes too much for me, right? If the game that you can play from the top view, right, the strategy type of game, then graphics doesn't matter to me much. But if the game has this kind of a point of view, right, third person, first person type of thing like this, then I don't know, graphics are kind of important to me. Otherwise it would be hard. I don't know. But yeah, alright, well, that was Fable review, moral relativism, Edison. Oh my god, all the jokes he made here. How did YouTube didn't go apeshit? Look, I'm so scared of YouTube, you know, coming after my channel right now, that even that scene with the bodybuilders, I have to censor that. Because what if algorithm thinks that's something else and just give me another strike? Because clearly, once they give you strike, doesn't matter what you do. They are not going to admit that they, you know, they were wrong or something. Unless you have massive social media following and make an issue there, right? I've explained to them that, you know, that's a try not to laugh challenge. There is nothing there that's an issue. The original video is still on YouTube, not to mention a million other reactions to it. It didn't matter, right? No, the strike stands. We can only talk about your video, not the other. Like, you know, some elementary teacher talking to a kid. It only matters what you did, not the others. Like, what the fuck? Common sense means nothing to you? Well, right. Alright, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like, subscribe, check out the reaction, this link in the description, check out the class, yeah, I'll see you next time.